Welcome to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Today, we are going to look at another topic in biology, which involves how we use our resources. In the olden days, our forefathers usually take one part of the bush or the forest as an evil forest. Why do they do that? They don't want anybody to go inside. They say it's evil forest. That if you go, evils will attack you. So most people run from the evil forest. Why do they do that? One of the reasons they do that is the topic we are going to look at. Please follow me.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
Our topic today is conservation. Conservation of natural resources. Conservation of natural resources. If you look at that, our forefathers' pattern then, evil forest. They do that so that people do not go there, so that they reserve that area. They protect the plants, most especially the herbs in that forest from being damaged. So our topic today is conservation of natural resources. Basically, protection of natural resources. Now, we are going to be guided by these learning objectives. The first one, at the end of the lesson, every learner should be able to state the definition of conservation. Definition of conservation. They should be able to give us reason, or they should be able to know the reason why we conserve natural resources and state some natural resources that needed to be conserved. Then outline some of the benefits of natural resources to man. There are things that God gives us freely. That's how we call them natural resources. Now, what is conservation? Define conservation. Conservation is defined as a plan or controlled exploitation. What you have planned to use, what you exploit systematically. Plan or controlled exploitation or judicious use. What you use small by small. You don't waste it. Your use of natural resources to ensure their continuous availability. They want it to always be available and preserve the quality of the original nature of the environment. That means as we are using it, our environment is not being affected. The most important reason why we are conserving is for continuous availability of these resources for man's benefit. God has done everything for man's benefit. So we need to protect it from being destroyed, from wastage. You see somebody opening a tap in your area, the water is full. It's full to the brim. It's not locked. Nobody is there to close the tap. That is not conservation. That is wastage. These are what we want to do in conservation. Reduce wastage. Now, these are needs. Why do we need to conserve natural resources? Number one, to prevent destruction of natural environments. We want our environment to remain the same. So we need to protect our natural resources, to preserve rare, valuable species. Some species that we cannot see, we want them to continue to be available. Like dinosaur. We don't have dinosaur again. If part of species of dinosaur or gene of dinosaur has been preserved, then by now we will have some breed of dinosaur, not pictures that we see around. So preserve rare and valuable species of plants and animals for future generation. The next one is to preserve natural beauty sceneries. We want the nature to be in its natural state, that nothing destroys it, so that anytime we go there, we continue to see the natural God's creation. The next one is to promote recycling, to promote use and reuse of resources. Now, another need for conservation is for education and research. We want to gain more knowledge about these natural resources and for improved knowledge. Now, we move on to the types of natural resources. Types of natural resources. The natural resources are basically divided into two. The first one is the renewable natural resources, and the second one is non-renewable. Renewable natural resources and non-renewable. What is renewable natural resources? These are resources that can be used, reused, regenerate. Resources that we can use all over again. That they cannot get exhausted. We continue to use and reuse. I'm sure you are thinking of what resources can we continue to use. The first one is water. The more you fetch water in your well, the more another one comes to the well. It does not finish. Nobody has ever drained the ocean water resources. Water, we have rain, we have animal. The more meat we eat, the more meat we get. Animal, plants, food, soil, wildlife. All these are renewable resources. Resources that we continue to use and reuse that do not get exhausted. The second one is non-renewable resources. The opposite of renewable. That means those resources that we cannot use and reuse when they get exhausted. That is why those that mine diamond, once they get one from this side today, they move to another side because that one there has been exhausted. The same thing, crude oil. Once they mine one in one area today, they move to another one. These are resources that cannot be used and reused. They are non-renewable. They don't renew themselves. This one renew themselves. Example I have here is mineral resources like crude oil or petroleum, rock, coal, tin, gold, diamond, and any other one that you can think of. These are resources that cannot be renewed, that cannot be used again. Let's move on. I have here resources that needed to be conserved. The resources that we just need to continue to manage so that we don't overuse them. They don't get exhausted. I have here wildlife, water, forest, soil, air, then mineral resources. I have wildlife, water, forest, soil, air, mineral resources. Wildlife. As you travel along the road, you see some orcas holding animals. These are wildlife, the one we call bushmeat. Bushmeat are wildlife, animals that don't stay with us. Those are wildlife. We have water, we have forest. When we have forest full of trees, that means we need to protect our trees. Then soil, air, and mineral resources. So I have some example here. Air, water, soil, trees, forest, wildlife, coal, petroleum. All we need to protect it. We need to conserve it. The next one is, how do we conserve natural resources? Number one is establishment of agencies. Agencies that will see or that will monitor how we use these resources. The next one is establishment of game reserves or national parks. These are areas that has been designated to keep animal or plant in their natural form. Nobody goes there the way our forefathers have done then, that they demarcate some areas, evil forests, so that nobody goes there. The same way, game reserves, that we can keep our animals, we can keep our plants in their natural states. Nobody cuts tree there, nobody plants. Everything grow in its natural state. The next one is making conservation law. Law that if you do this, you get punished. If you cut tree, you get punished. If you kill an animal, you get punished. If you kill or you sell any part of an animal, you get punished. Law or decree and implementation of land law. One of the problems we have in Nigeria is implementation. We don't implement. Implementation of law. Then conservation education, public awareness. Let people be aware of why conservation is important. Why do we need to use and reduce our resources? Why do we need to keep our resources for future purpose, for our children, for generation to continue to see it? Then setting standard for pollution control. That social limits of waste that industry can release into the atmosphere. Social limits of smoke that industry can release into the atmosphere. These are some of the ways we can ensure conservation of natural resources. I have here some agencies that are responsible for conservation of natural resources. I have Nigeria Conservation Foundation, I have the Forest Department, Federal Environmental Protection Agencies or State Environmental Protection Agencies, River Basin Development Authorities, and Ministry of Agriculture. These are agencies that are responsible for conservation of natural resources. These are some of the game reserve or national parks where the animal or plants are kept in their normal state. These ones are the ones we find in Nigeria. We have Yankari Game Reserve, Old Oyo National Park, Gashga Gumti National Park, Okomu National Park, Bogu Game Reserve, Shasha River Forest, then Olomu Forest Reserve, and Mamu Rivers. These are some of the game reserve and national parks that are found in Nigeria. The next one is importance of conservation of natural resources. Why is conservation important? Number one, to protect animal species and prevent extinction, prevent disappearance. A lot of animals have disappeared. A lot of animals are moving towards extinction that we don't get to see them again. So we need to protect them from extinction. The next one is to provide a recreational center or parks where we can go and relax and feel the effect of the natural environment. Then provide basis for research. We want to gain more knowledge. National parks or conservation of resources will do that for us. Then conservation ensure availability, continuous availability for industries, different industries, that the products, the materials they need continue to be available for them. Then provide revenue for government through tourism. One in some East Africa, eastern part of Africa, they gain a lot of revenue from tourism, most especially used through their national parks. The next one is problem or difficulty associated with conservation. Number one is soil erosion, pollution. The next one is occurrence of natural disaster, earthquake, flood, or annual bushfire in some countries. Bushfire happen annually. Then overgrazing, when animals feed too much on the land. Then indiscriminate hunting, continue to kill animals, continue to fell down trees. These are some of the problems associated with conservation. Another one can be funding, because in Nigeria, funding is a key part. So one of the key problems conservation have is also funding. Now I have some practice questions to give us idea of what we have learned so far, if we truly follow what we have learned. So I'll give you few seconds or few minutes to go through this practice question. I will come back in few minutes. Welcome back. I hope you are able to do something with the practice question. The first question I have here is, what is conservation of natural resources? Or they can simply put it, what is conservation? Is the same. What is biology? What is conservation? Or what is conservation of natural resources? The next one says 3 reasons why it is necessary. Why conservation is necessary. 3 reasons. They do not put reason, they can put need. What is the need of conservation? Then explain briefly the term renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Explain briefly. Then the next one is state 3 challenges that make conservation difficult, and state ways by which government of a country can ensure conservation of natural resources. I prepare some solutions. The first one is, what is conservation of natural resources? Is a plan or control exploitation or judicious use of resources to ensure continuous availability and to preserve the quality of these resources in order to ensure continuous availability for man's use. The next one, state 3 reasons why we need to conserve: to prevent destruction, to preserve rare species, to promote recycling, to preserve natural beauty, or for research and educational purpose. The next one is, explain briefly the following terms: renewable and non-renewable. Renewable resources are resources that can be reused, recoverable, regenerated. You need to just pick any of these terms. Renewable resources are resources that we can reuse after use again. Or you can say renewable resources are resources that can be recycled after it has been used. You don't need to cram all this, or you don't need, just pick 1 or 2 of these terms and match it with what you want to do. Example of renewable resources, we have rain, animal, plants. Remember, they say briefly explain. That is why you need to include the example, because you are explaining. The next one is non-renewable resources are resources that get exhausted or that get finished after use. They cannot be recycled. Resources that cannot regenerate themselves are called renewable resources. Example, we have our petroleum, we have rock, we have gold, we have diamond. All these are non-renewable resources. Then state 3 challenges that make conservation difficult. First one is lack of awareness, improper enforcement, inadequate funding. I have lack of international or local cooperation, illegal or unlawful exploitation. When people do not take permission, they go into the forest, they kill the animals they want. They kill elephants because they want to use their tusks, or they kill snake because they need their skin, or just for bush meat. Just people, you want to show people you eat good food. They go into the forest, kill all these animals illegally. These are some of the challenges that are faced. Then over forest fire or overgrazing. Then limited area. When there is no space for development, people go into the forest, start cutting trees just because we want to build houses, we want to build roads. All these are some of the challenges that affect conservation of resources. The next one is state ways by which governments can ensure the conservation of these resources. I have number 1, creating awareness. Governments need periodic awareness, periodic education, periodic public enlightenment to tell people why we need to conserve. The establishment of conservation fund, where people involved in conservation can get money to sustain the funding of the national park or the forest reserve. Then train people on how to conserve. Then afforestation, planting of new tree. When you cut one, you plant another one. Or enactment of law or implementation of law. Law that will guide against people doing illegal thing in a conservation or in area demarcated as conservation sites.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
For any question or comment or observation regarding this topic, or for more clarification regarding this topic, feel free to get back to us on our social media handles that will be displayed on the screen. Thank you. Bye for now.
Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects: mathematics, English language, physics, chemistry, and biology, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates on this station. Learners can also connect with Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.